Mozette.
So, I have a question.
Sure.
Well, the Seahawks lost this week.
Yes.
And the 49ers lost this week.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals lost this week.
Right.
So, does that mean...
The Rams are in first place.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
And now, it's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mozette, and here's your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Mozette, and welcome to episode 510 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show as your Seattle Seahawks get ready to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Nothing can cheer you up more from a loss than the scene of the red and gold on your schedule for the next game. All right, let's meet the posse for this episode. First, the yin to my yang. I ain't saying he's a gold digger. Matt from Married Old England.
You ain't messing with no broke.
Yeah, don't finish that lyric, Justin.
I'm not.
Oh, little nuggets. Hello, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you, sir?
I'm really well. I'm currently reading Hillary Clinton's new book, What Happened, to see whether she's blamed me as well as everybody else in that book. And also to see whether we can find out what happened from last week's game. I don't think I want to know.
I don't think I want to know that either. And also, here our news hound, fresh from a whirlwind tour of Wisconsin himself, and I'm sure he's as happy to be as home as the Seahawks are. It is our own Shadowhawk, Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses. How are you?
Hold on. Hi, Will. Hey, Will's here.
Yay!
Hey. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be back out of the land of cheeseheads.
I'm sure you are, as we all would be. And then, of course, the man who just might have his own pot of gold. It's Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Dude, I would love my own pot of gold, but
Everyone trying to take your lucky charms too, aren't they? But
I don't wear that much green, so.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
For that reason. That's why.
That's why.
Nobody should wear green after last week, but that's another story. So, guys.
Yes.
Didn't get off to a good start last week.
Well,
but
not so
well, our show is always off to a slow start, though, really.
It is. And
a slow middle. And a slow
finish.
Yes.
Yeah, finish is kind of slow.
And let's tell you about that slow show right now. Michael Walton.
Boys, let's get to it.
Yes, let's get to this. The show's broken into 4 quarters and halftime. Quarter 1, Will's going to share his trip to Green Bay with us, even though it wasn't a victory. He still had a fun time in Green Bay a little bit. Quarter 2, we're going to recap that Packer game rather quickly and as painlessly as possible. At halftime, it is the best Seahawk-themed play-along game on the internet. 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia.
Of the world.
Yes, Andy, our guest from Canada, won last week. So, and hit it right on the button, by the way. Quarter 3, we have weather, travel guide, injuries, and numbers for the upcoming game between your Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. And also a very special public service announcement on how to tell if you or someone you love may be becoming a 49er fan. And in quarter 4, predictions, prognostications, and game balls for that upcoming game between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. As always, we like to remind you, like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. We have a great game day thread on there. Also on Twitter at Seahawk Positivity, and the email is 12manfanjamshow@gmail.com. But before we start the first quarter and listen to Will's trip, I do have just a couple shout-outs.
Hey, can I do a shout-out?
All right, couple shout-outs that I have to talk about. The first one is last week's show. The first two have to do with last week's show. We had Andy Leninar on here, and gosh, Andy and I have been friends for practically decades. I mean, long time. And we did the show, and I put the little blurb up about what the show's about. And about 3 hours later, I get a text from Andy that says, hey, it was great to be on the show. And I said, hey, thanks for coming on. We appreciate having you. And he goes, that's great, but who the hell's Canadian Hawk? Because Andy is not Canadian Hawk.
Oh, dear.
Andy's Northern Hawk. He's always been Northern Hawk as long as I've known him. for it's got to be going on 14 years, maybe longer, 15 years. And I called him Canadian Hawk the whole show, and he's Northern Hawk. So I don't know how I messed that up. One more mess up on the show that's been pointed out by Matt.
I know where this is going.
If you go to episode 509 and you go to the 53-minute, 25-second mark, I am describing Tom's predictions, and I do not call the Seahawks the Seahawks for some reason. It stumbled out of my mouth like so many words do, and it just didn't come out right. So, and finally, a shout out as we record on Friday. It is the birthday of one Mr. Pete Carroll. Pete, congratulations. Happy birthday. Pete turns 97 today. So congratulations, Pete.
Doesn't look a day over 70, though.
He doesn't. Pete reacted to his birthday. Pete, happy birthday. There it was. Woohoo. All right.
I know that man's still got more energy in his, however old he is now, than I do now.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it amazing?
I've got more energy.
So many people look at
stem
sad
cells.
on our
How
parts,
old is he
actually.
again? That's
I have
crazy.
no idea.
66.
66.
I know.
66.
He is 66, but it's like
He-
you look at him and go, really?
He
Yeah.
must bathe in stem cells daily. I have
He
no
does.
idea.
I think a lot
Yeah.
of it's just attitude, man. He just has the right attitude. You know?
It is,
Happy birthday, Pete.
I love how much of a smartass he is too. Like today at his press conference, one of the reporters like, "Do you have any plans for your birthday?" He's like, "Yep, yes." Who knows? That was the answer. That's it. Yes, I do.
Well, happy birthday, Pete, and thanks for everything. And let's go ahead and even though it was a successful trip to Green Bay, let's go ahead and start the first quarter.
Holy shit, it's the first quarter.
An unsuccessful trip to Green Bay, but doesn't mean that our own Newshound Will had an unsuccessful trip to Green Bay. So here to tell us about his time in the land of frozen tundras and many cheeses is our own Newshound Shadowhawk Will. Will, tell us about your trip.
Well, it wasn't frozen, that's for sure. In fact, I was very grateful when the sun set enough to where I was sitting in shadows because I was in the sunshine for most of the game. But yeah, it was just a great experience. If you get the chance to go to a game in Green Bay, I highly recommend it. Fans over there are great, very welcoming, very fun. I had shot some good-natured shit with a bunch of Packer fans, and hopefully some of them will be coming out here when they have to travel here to play us in the playoffs because we'll finish with a better record than they do.
Burn.
As for the stadium itself, it's kind of interesting. It's a mix of the old and the new because they've had two significant renovations. The last one in 2003, and that has put a huge plaza out there with some newer structures. A bunch of the upper levels actually are seats, new scoreboard, everything. But you get into the lower bowl where we're sitting, and everything's just metal benches. You can rent seat backs with cushions on them. Not a lot of leg room. The person behind me jabbed her back into my knees. The person in front of me jabbed her back into my knees several times, and I accidentally bonked the person behind me. So
I've been in clubs like that myself. It's a nightmare.
yeah. But just a great atmosphere. All the houses around there, as you can imagine, just completely decked out with Packers stuff. People were letting strangers park on their lots for $40 a pop, which I would do the same thing if I lived there.
Of course.
And everything, absolutely everything, is just Packers everywhere. Pretty much all the fans were great. We did run into a couple of drunken idiots on the way out, including one who decided to water an electrical tower. He did survive the experience. I don't know how, but yeah, I was telling my dad. He was fortunate enough to be able to go with me to the game, and then we did a stadium tour the next day. It's probably the worst road game that we saw, but probably the best road trip.
Nice.
I would do Green Bay again in a heartbeat.
Fantastic. Tell us about the tour of the stadium.
That was fun. We were the only two Seahawk fans in the group, as can be expected. But we also, along with the tour, got tickets to the Packers Hall of Fame, and that was kind of fun just to see some of the old Packers stuff throughout the years, going back to 1919. But yeah, it took us into all the suites. I'm now saving up money for a suite at CenturyLink because I've seen how the other half watches football, and I want in. But they took us pretty much everywhere. We got up onto the roof just under one of the scoreboards, and I got some pictures from up there. It's a lot higher than you would think. And they took us down onto, not onto the field itself, but onto what was actually the visitors' sidelines. So I got some good pictures from down there. At certain points during the week, you can do a tour that includes the visitors' locker room, but since they had just done the game the day before, that wasn't available. But yeah, really, really cool. Got to see the Packers Super Bowl 45 ring, which is on display in one of the suites. And, you know, I am still hearing that stupid "Go Pack Go" chant in my sleep, and undoubtedly will for the next several months. Yeah. But you know, it's a small price to pay.
It is. I've always heard friends and family that go up to Seahawk games in Green Bay have always just raved about the fans and the atmosphere and everything. And I think that's great. I'm not one of those people that thinks, if you're a different team, I have to hate your guts and throw stuff at you. And I think it's okay for you to be rooting for a different team. I mean, to me, it's not that life-threatening or the end of the world that I sit next to a 49er fan or a Rams fan or a Packer fan, and they seem to have that kind of attitude up there. Is that for the most part true, Will?
Yep, pretty much everyone we talked to was just, hey, welcome to Green Bay. Is this your first time? Glad that you're here. It was just really good. Even on the rare occasion when Seattle would do something good during the game, they didn't get nasty towards us. So yeah, it was just great atmosphere.
I think that's because most of them that live there are part owners. So you come into the game, maybe makes them money. So
that's a good point. Good point. Well, thanks, Will. That was a great retelling of your trip. I'm glad you have a good time. I'm sorry it didn't work out 100% as well as it could have, but you know, you take the game away, and it sounds like you still had a good time.
Yeah, well, sadly, my dad and I are used to spending hundreds of dollars to go see the Seahawks play on the road, only to watch them lose. So
yeah, those were the days, weren't they? I remember that myself. And you know, let's go ahead and before we talk about that game, unfortunately, we like to do a little thing from each game, and we take a picture from those games, and we bring our own caption and caption that picture. This picture that we took from last week's game is a picture of Wilson and Rodgers engaged in an embrace, for lack of a better word. And Aaron is saying something, or, you know, maybe Russell's saying something. So that was a pretty good picture. Will, do you have a caption for that picture?
I do.
Okay, well, caption it.
Aaron Rodgers. Dude, are we going to be alive by the end of the season? Russell Wilson. Pray for me, pal. I'll pray for you.
Sorry, I was a little premature, but that was good. Pray for me and I'll pray for you. Amen to that. Dustin, caption that picture.
Russell to Aaron. You got yours, man. I get mine in the playoffs.
Ooh. Burn.
Ooh, burn.
Matt?
Yep.
Caption that picture.
This is Rodgers to Wilson. Oh, don't sack me, man. Don't sack me. Game's over, man.
I went a little different direction, and based on the fact that in the fourth quarter of our last show, Matt made it rather clear of what he thinks Aaron Rodgers' intentions are. And so I kind of went with that.
Oh, no.
The first one I have is, these are both Aaron talking to Russell. Aaron says, "Leaving town, call me." And finally, also Aaron Rodgers to Russell. "Hey, if you need a nice relaxing back rub a little later before you get on the plane, I'm good with my hands." All right. On that note, we'll end the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
All right. Coming up on this episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, lots of show left. Ways to know if you or someone you love might be a 49er fan. Halftime trivia. But coming up next, we do review last week's game against the Packers. We'll be right back after this.
And now, the 12-Man Fan Jam Show proudly presents Statsman Mark's Remarks.
Hello, everybody. This is the Statsman with his inaugural remark. concerning the Week 1 game in Green Bay, playoff implications at stake, about as high stakes as you can get for an opener. And boy, did our offense show what we all feared, and that is that they are clearly not prepared. And who is the culprit? Yep, it's the same old song and dance, and it's going to continue to be a topic as long as they don't address it effectively enough, and that's our friendly offensive line that leaks like a sieve, and it's a jailbreak or some kind of disaster going on practically every other play or every third play. You know, and it kills me that this team insists, it's a Super Bowl caliber franchise, and they insist on investing 10 cents into a group that is protecting a franchise QB, a legitimate franchise QB, by the way, you know, who is worth a mint to the team. And this is what they decide to do. And we are going to continue to have problems all season long, and we've gotten through them before, okay? And this is still probably a 10 or 11 win team. But if you insist on this philosophy that clearly is not working, coupled with an offensive coordinator who's never apparently heard of the word imagination, okay, and creativity, and adjusting game plans to improvise or do the best he can to improvise for a line that's crap. When you have that combination, it makes for a long season. I wish this team the best. I love this team, but it's incredibly frustrating to watch what they've allowed themselves to become up front.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome to the second quarter of episode 510 of your 12-Man Fan Jam show. All right, gentlemen, let's take a look back at last week's game. The Seahawks fall to the Packers, 17-9. Matt, what were your thoughts?
Well, the refs suck. That was my first thought. I just don't understand how they can be so poor every year. It's like they reach to new levels of complete rubbishness. Obviously,
rubbishness.
That's garbage for you American listeners.
Yeah, it's a garbage for you guys.
Refs reach rubbishness.
Rubbishness.
That would have been a good headline, but go
ahead. What's the frustrating thing is that these calls are having serious impacts on games. And I think I agree very much with what Pete was sort of alluding to, which was that if you're going to have something as serious, which has such a game impact as, you know, an ejection of a player, you know, one of the front line, then, you know, that should be reviewed. That should be looked at before that's committed. Unless it's, I suppose unless it's genuinely really obvious, like he went over and picked him up and pummeled him, you know, pole driver, threw him over the yard or something. But I just think that was such a strange decision, such a strange call. When you look back at the evidence for Lane's ejection, you think, well, what did he see? What could he possibly have seen? You know, how did he miss the face mask from Adam? How do you miss all of that, but you see a completely phantom, invisible punch, you know?
Yeah, I remember Brandon Browner doing a double leg takedown and taking the mount in the end zone and still not getting kicked out of the game. So it's ridiculous that Jeremy Lane got kicked out for getting pulled down by his face.
And I think anything that's serious that results in an ejection should be reviewable.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the league, as good as it admitted that they screwed up because all the fines were announced today for last week's games, Jeremy Lane was not fined.
Yeah.
You got to believe if they had him on video throwing a punch, that they would have fined him for it.
Yeah,
well,
but
you know what?
Sorry, Dennis, but to me that's not enough. It's not enough to say that a guy's innocent because we didn't fine him. The league should come out and say we screwed it up. And we're sorry.
I'm not saying that's enough either. I'm just saying that they know they screwed up and they don't have the balls to admit it.
Yeah, that's the thing about this league. It doesn't have the guts to turn around and say when it's wrong. It's got the guts to take money off players willy-nilly whenever it feels like it, but it doesn't have the guts to turn around and take some referees off the field maybe, or fine some refs for making some particularly pathetic decisions, you know?
But to me, okay, the bottom line is this: we ever complained all week about it, and you know the refs were okay. I never complained. You guys know me. I never complained about the refs. But at the same time, they proved we were wrong. It doesn't take the fact away that they won 17-9.
No,
they don't add points to our score because they were wrong. So honestly, you were wrong. Great. That means nothing. The game's over. It's a loss, and I'm not gonna say it cost us the game because I'd say, you got 60 minutes to play. One play should never cost you a game,
especially that early.
But what about 2 touchdowns though? Really?
And I know, but I was quite, and honestly, And you can look at the game day thread. I was actually thrilled because Lane was getting beat like a rag doll out there. And I'm like, thank God at least Shaquille Griffin will be out there and make some plays. At least if he gets burned, I have an excuse.
And Griffin had a solid game.
Yes,
Yeah,
he did. Absolutely.
I was kind of secretly excited that Lane got kicked out. But you're right. When you're talking about taking scores off the board for this, it does make a difference. It is a factor.
But yeah, and on that same play, Cliff Averill gets the penalty for rushing against Aaron Rodgers, essentially, calling it a block in the back. So that negates the touchdown. So there's two terrible calls on the same play. Neither are reviewable, so they both just kind of screwed us over. And a penalty that early in the game shouldn't screw things up, but it kind of set the tone.
And to me, I think there are two precedents here that could be used in future for review. A player being ejected should be reviewable, and I think a play that takes points off the board should be reviewable. If there's a penalty there, it needs to be proven to take points off the board. I think those are 2 points that they should consider using replay for.
And they had time because they spent the next 10 minutes going back and forth on the field trying to figure out where the play would be spotted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of time to do that. And the other things as well is like, the contact calls with Graham in the end zone and I just don't know how poor refereeing is going to be. And I know they're going to allow a little bit of contact, and they always say, you can start to judge how the season's going to be officiated by really judging how much contact they're going to allow between receivers and safeties and whatever and corners. But it was so blatantly obvious. It was like, what's going on? What's wrong with the world?
Yeah, they got rid of one touchdown for sure. The other one is kind of maybe not. I mean, they could have, the way the offensive line blocks, they might not have scored a touchdown. But that extra 10 points still would have given us the lead or potentially the win. So it kind of sucks. The Jimmy Graham thing, nobody, at least I didn't see, and I haven't read where anybody saw any of the refs say that ball to Jimmy Graham was uncatchable.
They didn't.
The referee never signaled that. And he's, 6'7", and he can dunk over the goalpost and all that. So you can't tell me that dude, given a normal jump, couldn't jump up there and grab the ball with one hand and bring it down in the end zone. You can't tell me that.
Right. The thing with the Graham play, though, is even if they had given us the penalty on that one, there was 4 or 5 seconds left. I can't picture us doing anything other than kick the field goal anyway.
That's a good point.
So, but it was a blatantly missed call. But even if they'd gotten the call right, we still may have gone for the field goal.
Sure.
But it's not. But this game isn't all about the refereeing, though, is it? Because some of this game's got to come back to our inability to score, and our inability to defend our quarterback, and our inability to establish a run game. One of the most frustrating things for me with this game was that it felt to me like we'd already established the fact that establishing a run game was probably not going to happen in this game. It felt to me that the run game simply wasn't going to happen, so we should be switched up, get flexible and do something else more up-tempo, do some screens, I don't know, get some tight ends involved, Nick Vinay in there or whatever, Vanette, whatever the hell his name is. But the thing for me is that we seemed so insistent on spending as long as possible trying to establish a run that just didn't ever seem like it was ever going to form.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what bugs me more than anything, because you look at the offensive line and, okay, you expect there's going to be some issues with pass blocking. But why can't we run the damn ball? I mean, okay, Chris Carson broke off a couple good runs. I stand by an earlier prediction that he's going to be starting sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Eddie Lacy looks old and slow and got dumped on his ass at one point, and the whole crowd cheered.
Okay, but let me defend Lacy, but go ahead.
But why can't... It's just the inability to actually open running lanes for these guys is frustrating me more than the pass protection, because I expected the pass blocking to be an issue. But I thought we'd be able to run block.
Every time Lacy had the ball, there were 3 green jerseys in front of him. I couldn't run for... You're right. He wasn't the speediest guy out there, but it seemed to me, if you go back and look at Lacy's runs, every single run of them, it was completely blown up. And he had 3 green jerseys in front of him every time. So I'm not faulting Eddie. Now, he didn't do anything to help it, no. But I'm sitting here going, that poor guy has never been given a chance yet. So my jury is still out on Eddie Lacy.
Well, that was a schematic issue. because they bring him in knowing they were going to run, and so they just sold out. They knew, they're going to run it. Let's just load the box and go after him.
Right.
But I think we have to be far more flexible on our plans and just sit there and say, look, it's not happening, people, for whatever reason, and there are multiple reasons why the blocking, whatever, it's just not happening. Can we now switch to something a bit more up-tempo, pocket firing down the field? Get Doug Baldwin involved.
What do you mean switch to? They went, what'd they do? They threw the ball, 3 of the first 4 plays or something like that? They tried to? Dropping back? I mean,
being the key.
Yeah, I mean, they went out there from the get-go trying to throw the ball. They should have spent more time trying to run it. They didn't hardly run it at all. You can't establish a run game if you're not trying. That's one of those things where you're going to lose some yards, and then you might get some plays that are 1 or 2 yards. But it's going to wear down the defense, and it pays off later in the game. But it's not going to pay off later in the game if you're dropping back and getting sacked because nobody can block for your quarterback, and you can't stay on the field. You can't wear a defense down if you can't stay on the field. And if you're dropping back to throw all the time, and not completing the passes, it's not going to happen.
Is it me, or does Russell drop back further than he used to? I don't know. Does it look like he's going back further than he used to?
I'd be running like hell away from the O-line.
Well,
I think, honestly, though, I think I'm going to be interested in watching the Packers this year because their defense also may be a little better than we gave them credit for.
That's my next question.
One thing I was thinking watching this game is like, man, those guys are fast.
Yes.
Yeah. That D lineman they had that caused the fumble, he had himself a hell of a game. So
he did, and I know I was watching. I mean, this is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home, and guys, they were shut out in the first half. So let's give our D bless their hearts, they were out there for 2/3 of the game, so they were worn out by the end of the game. But to only give up 17 points at Green Bay, we should expect to win that game.
Absolutely.
And our defense played exceptionally well.
And 7 of those points were gift wrapped after that fumble.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, but we had good field position throughout the first half for the most part, and we couldn't capitalize. Tyler Lockett runs the first play of the game back to like the 42-yard line or whatever it was, and we couldn't do anything with it. You cannot play football like that and expect to win games. Somebody on the offense has to do something.
But on defense, the death row was as advertised. They were amazing. I felt like they were getting to the quarterback without even blitzing, which is scary as all get out. Earl Thomas was spectacular, absolutely spectacular. I thought the defense was fantastic. I thought Shaq came in and did a great job covering for Lane. I was real comfortable with him in that spot. We'll see this week what happens there. But defensively, this team is just exceptionally.
They played awesome.
Defense, yeah.
And that's going to be fun to watch going forward.
Yeah.
But we're just saying they don't have the stamina to do all 4 quarters.
Well, bless their hearts.
Well, they will by the end of the year, apparently. So they will by the playoffs.
So we had some positives and some negatives, but
the one thing about the defense that I didn't like, it might be kind of nitpicky, but it's important, is contain. When they rush with four pass rushers or 4 defensive linemen, the guys on the edge, the only reason Aaron Rodgers was able to make so many plays is because the guys on the edge went way too far upfield trying to go down the outside of the guy. They have to try and find a way to get inside a little bit, maybe stop the rush and try and push the thing back. And this is probably going to be an adjustment, because if you have a guy like Frank Clark and Sheldon Richardson and Nas Jones in the middle, they're going to push the interior of the line forward. So you can't just haul ass and get 10 yards upfield, 5 yards past the quarterback, because when you do that as a defensive end, that allows him to roll out. And you're too far upfield, you can't get to him. But if you're only going maybe 5 yards upfield and then trying to push in, that'll help collapse the pocket. They can't just try and speed rush and get around everybody. They have to adjust their technique and get to a certain point on the edge and then try and force it in. And even if they don't get to the guy, he's not going to be able to roll out, and you're going to have a better chance of sacking him.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that it's Aaron Rodgers either, who's an exceptional quarterback and made some amazing plays.
Well, it's all the more reason why you can't run past him like that, because he rolled out and was able to make plays because we're too far downfield on the edges.
Yeah. Again, though, you saw more of that in the second half than the first, so I think fatigue is playing a factor there.
Yeah, good point.
Could have been.
All right, let's go 2-minute warning.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
Let's take a look at our predictions, prognostications, and game balls from last week. There's the scoring. Okay, scores. Mark-Ty Turner was the closest. He gets a point. Prognostications. Mike said that Green Bay would have 3 sacks, so he gets 3 points. Dustin also said that Russell would throw no interceptions. You also get 3 points.
Bam!
Game ball I'm giving to Thomas, which is Mike and Matt. The over-under was an under, so a point for Mark-Ty Turner, Mike, Statsman Mark, Will, Matt, and myself. Scores after week 1. Mike Pascal at 5. Dustin at 3, Mark-Ty Turner 2, Matt at 2, Statsman Mark at 1, Will at 1, me at 1. Hey guys, after week 1, the score is Team 12 7, Team Posse 8. We're leading.
Championship.
Wow.
Can we call it now?
Quit now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Oh my gosh. All right.
The challenge is over.
The challenge is over, and so is this first half.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
All right. Can the Seahawks rebound this week? Will the 49ers spoil the homecoming party? Has anybody found our missing offensive line? All these answers and more just around the corner. But first, another fine edition of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia coming up.
Hi, I'm Rosette, and you're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia
of the world.
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Will, Matt, and Dustin, and here are the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show trivia champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. All right, gentlemen, you know the rules. Here we go. 1 through 3. The part of Little Mo will be played by Little Mo, but the part of Mosette will be played by Mrs. Moses. She took the quiz. So, Matt, 1, 2, or 3?
I'll go with Russell Wilson 3.
Will, 1 or 2?
1.
All right, and that leaves Dustin.
I'm number 2.
With number 2. All right. 2 questions that are about the game, and one, I won't say they're not necessarily off the wall as usual, but they're definitely different questions. All right, you ready?
All right.
Here we go, Will. Here's his question about the Seahawks and the 49ers. About how many points per game did the San Francisco 49ers give up in road games last season? 30, 34, or 38? Dance! How many points per game did the 49ers give up on the road last year? 30, 34, or 38?
34.
34. Little Mo said 34. In fact, Mrs. Moses said 34. You said 34. It's 34!
Woo-hoo!
How can you all be wrong?
Yay!
Will's on the board. All right. Dustin.
Yeah.
You're number 2.
I know.
All right.
Pretty shitty.
All right, here you go. Number 2 is this. Whoops. How many times have the Seattle Seahawks shut out the San Francisco 49ers at home? Once, twice, or 3 times? How many times have the Seahawks shut out the Niners at home? 1, 2, or 3 times?
I'll say twice. I don't know.
He'll say twice because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Little Mo said once. Mrs. Moses said twice. You said twice. Yes!
Bam!
2004 and 2007.
All right.
Remember the 2007 one.
Oh, check out the big brains on Will. All right.
I know.
Matt, your question is
Not
kind
a
of
football question.
Kind of related. No, it's a
Okay.
football question, but it's kind of
What
related.
college did?
It's about John Lynch, who's now the general manager of the 49ers.
He played football.
He did. And how many sacks did he have as a player? How many sacks did John Lynch have as a player? 12, 13, or 14?
Oh, I have absolutely no idea. I'll ask the kids. Let's see what
Ask the
Mrs.
kids.
Moses knows.
Mrs. Moses said 12. Little Mo said 13. Nobody said 14. How many sacks did John Lynch have as a player? 12,
Oh, let's
13,
go
or
unlucky.
14?
You said 13. Let's go unlucky for some 13.
You said unlucky 13. Little Mo said 13, so you're going with Little Mo.
I'll go Little Mo, which is probably a bad thing.
No, it's not!
Woohoo!
Wow.
Everybody
Wow.
on the board. What?
Woohoo!
What?
All right, Matt.
What?
4, 5, or 6?
Me? 6, please.
Will?
4.
We're going to same order? All right. Same order it is. All
Yeah,
right.
it worked the last time, right?
Yeah. Will? All right. Your question is number 4. Here you go. You ready?
Still being found.
Yep.
All right. Your question is about Brian Hoyer. How many
I want
different
number 5 instead.
how many different NFL teams has Brian Hoyer played on? How many different uniforms in the NFL? How many times has Brian Hoyer been putting on a different uniform? How many different teams has Brian Hoyer been on in the NFL? Is it 5, 6, or 7?
I'm gonna go with 7.
He's going to go with 7. He's going the whole thing. Mrs. Moses said 5. Little Mo said 6. You said 7. Yeah, 7. 49ers,
Holy crap.
Bears, Texans, Browns, Cardinals, Steelers, Patriots.
I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah, no
I've been everywhere, man.
All right.
And he still never played in Seattle.
No. Dustin.
Yeah.
How many times have the San Francisco 49ers scored more than 20 points in a game against the Seahawks with Russell Wilson at quarterback? How many times have they scored 20
More than
points or more?
20?
More than 20. 1, 2, or 3 times. How many times have they scored more than 20 points against the Seahawks with Wilson at quarterback? 1, 2, or 3?
Wilson started playing in what, 2012? 14.
Maybe.
5 years. I'll say 4 times.
1, 2, or 3?
Shit, I should listen to the question. I'll say 3 times.
That would help.
Oh, dear. He says 3 times.
Oh, dear.
You know, from the last show, you know how much I hate math. I was doing the math. I couldn't hear you.
There you go. Math. Mrs. Moses said 1. Little Mo said 2. You said 3? Eventually?
Yeah.
Just once.
Ah.
And that was last
Wow.
time we played. 23-25. Wow.
That's
Matt.
hilarious.
Matt.
Nice.
Yes!
Oh, my God. Are you paying attention?
No, but carry on.
Okay.
I told you, math is hard.
Yes. Oh, my God.
You want me to answer his question? I'll answer his question.
Yeah, I think we better.
Carry on.
Matt, the 49ers have played in Seattle 21 times, and that includes the playoffs.
Yes.
How many times have they scored less than 10 points in a game in Seattle? 5, 6, or 7?
9.
Not 9.
Oh, God, I'm gonna cry. Sorry, give me the numbers again.
5, 6, or 7?
Oh, and what was the question? How many times they've scored less than how many?
How many times in Seattle have the 49ers scored less than 10 points in a game? 5, 6, or 7?
Oh, let's be 7. Let's go for the top score.
Let's be 7. Let's hope it's 7, right?
Oh, God.
All right.
Correct answer is
Moses
9.
said 5. You said 7. Little Mo said 6. Yeah, it's 7.
Oh, God, thanks.
So here we go. Will, Dustin, and Matt. Okay, Will and Matt are at 2. Dustin is at 1. Breathe. Here comes. Are you
All
ready?
good. I'm all good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Your final question.
Yeah, I gotta set the tone. You know, it's way over anything I say. That's how this goes.
Well, you know, guys, it is time for the final question.
Yeah.
Question. All right, here's how this works. I will give you a question that has a number for an answer, and it's another decimal, just because I really.
You gotta.
Because I just really like doing that to Dustin. Here's the question. The closest without going over gets it, and if everybody's over, whoever's closest to the number gets it. The order will be Dustin, Matt, and Will.
I know.
Yes, it will, and here it is. Your question is this. Last year, when the Seahawks played the 49ers in Seattle, what was Russell Wilson's quarterback rating? What was the quarterback rating for Russell Wilson last year when they played the 49ers in Seattle? Dustin.
What?
Give me a number with a decimal point in it.
Oh. 87 point kiss my ass. No, I don't know.
Point kiss my ass.
I don't think that's it. You're like, I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. I'll say,
and why not?
How about 88.3?
88.3. Matt.
That sounds great.
With 88.3, does he get to go into the future once he reaches that speed? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
Yeah, dude, I need that almanac. I need that almanac.
I'll go 112.
112. Will.
I will go 112.1.
You.
Ow.
I honestly hate him.
Oh, man.
Do you know what? I preferred him when he was in Wisconsin.
Wouldn't it be great if it was 111.9? That would be awesome.
No, because Matt would be over too, and Dustin would win.
Yes, I know.
No, yeah, that would be pretty great.
Yeah. Actually, the last year when the Seahawks played the 49ers in Seattle, Russell Wilson's quarterback rating was 114.9.
Oh, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Oh.
It's rigged. Bad ref.
You got the touch. Will Harrison comes back from Green Bay. And
Got
he didn't
touched?
bring a victory, but he brought a trivia victory.
Probably by Seattle's mayor, apparently.
Oh. Lordy.
Ouch.
Ex-mayor.
Congratulations, Will.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, dude, congrats.
Oh, congratulations,
Got the
man.
touch. And you can too for 1995. Sorry. What? Sorry. Hey, it's been
Nice.
another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning, mildly touching edition of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
gosh.
We'll be back in the second half of the show after this reading by Reverend Moses. Take us out, Stan!
And now it's time for a reading of Seahawk Positivity with the Reverend Moses.
Yes, it is I, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity, a reading from the book of 2017 NFL season, chapter 2, verses 3 to 12. So now we do then return home, where we are faced by those from the land of golden gates and trolley cars. But we do not fear the beast of the number 7 squared, for we are well prepared. There then did we rise up in our land, and send those from the bay back home. They shall then return to their home without gold, without victory, and without any desire to stand before us again. They shall feel the wrath of Seahawk Positivity, for it shall rain down upon them, and they shall be very afraid. Yes, my brethren, this is the word of Seahawk Positivity. Go forth, and my brethren, go forth and spread the good word of Seahawk Positivity. Praise Larger, praise Cortez, praise Walter Jones, praise Easley. Go Hawks, and give Pete a chance.
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
Yes, welcome to the third quarter of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Hey, you! Yes, you, still upset because Jermaine Curse is no longer a Seahawk. Like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Please join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Do it now before we put you behind our offensive line. Okay. Now, as a public service to listeners everywhere, we offer some useful advice on how you can find out if you or a loved one or someone you know is becoming a 49er fan. The 12-Man Fan Jam Show proudly presents How You Know If You're a 49er Fan. And this is a little bit off of the, now you just might be a 49er fan. So, here we go. Ways to find out if you're a 49er fan. If your calendar is stuck on 1994, you might be a 49er fan. If you brag about accomplishments that haven't occurred in over 20 years, chances are you might want to check out being a 49er fan. If you still listen to Hootie and the Blowfish, there's a good chance you might be a 49er fan.
Yeah, Darius Rucker's a country singer now, guys.
Yeah, right.
So
True. If you traveled to Montana just to visit a city named Joe, there's an outside chance you want to look into the possibility that you're a 49er fan.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you go to a home game so you can stretch out and enjoy some peace and quiet, chances are you might be a 49er fan.
Nice.
If you eat rice-a-roni at every meal, you might be a 49er fan. And finally, if you have a lot of free time in January, chances are it's apparent that you may want to go to the doctor and see if you're a 49er fan. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's see who's healthy on these teams. And let's see how they are injury-wise by turning to our own doctor, Dr. Dustin, with the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Injury Report. Dr. Dustin, tell us the news.
Doctor, give me the news.
All right, guys. So player-wise, we're fine. The only injury of note this week is the Seahawks' pride. It was injured last week in Green Bay, and it's looking to recover this week.
Nice.
Sad but true.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually, nobody. I mean, even they thought maybe Sherman, but he practiced and looks like he's going to play.
Yep, and Shaquille Griffin earlier in the week was limited because of the concussion protocol, but he seems fine now too, so there's really nothing to worry about.
Why is it I have this image? He's fine, and he's like, I see him running around on the field like trying to pet invisible chickens. You know, come here, chickie, come here, chickie. He's fine. He'll be good for the game.
Dude, that is amazing training. You got to catch those chickens, man. It's like Rocky. That's good for quick feet.
My son, I swear to God, every time we go by, like, we have geese down here all over the place, and we go by a bunch of geese, and my son will go, hey, Dad, look at all them chickens.
Oh dear.
All right, then.
All right, so you learned about chickens. Yeah, Little Mo likes chickens. All right, sorry. Okay, so really nothing, Dustin.
No, nothing to report other than the Seahawks' pride.
Beautiful. Well enough. Well, let's take a look at what the weather is going to be for the game by turning to a guy living in Europe. Yes, it's time for a 12-Man Fan Jam Show weather and fashion report with Matt from merry old England. Oh, Matt!
It's raining man.
England.
Thank you, Moses. I don't even know where England is, but wherever. Thank you, Moses. My level
In Europe.
is in Europe somewhere. It's probably in France. My level of commitment to my level of commitment to this show is about to hit an all-time low. Now, my level of commitment to this show has hit a whole new level, as I have spent literally minutes preparing today's weather report. Apparently, the guys at the US National Weather Service have said, and prepare yourselves, it's going to be rainy. I mean, no disrespect, but no shit show. Like it's Seattle during the football season.
So,
you know what I mean?
It's going to rain in Seattle.
I mean, don't tell me it must have taken them 50 orbiting weather satellites and a multi-billion-dollar budget to work that one out.
Yes.
It'll be a sweat-inducing 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or for those of us who realise that 32 sounds much warmer than 0, that's 15 degrees centigrade. As my mum says, after I eat Brussels sprouts at Christmas dinner, there will be wind. So, it's true.
Huh. That's like winter is coming.
It is. Wind is coming, and it's going to be gusty. It's a south-southwesterly as it happens, gusting at times to about 10 miles an hour. So that may mean that someone's going to have to run out and hold Walsh's balls for him. And when I really bet that Aaron Rodgers is kicking himself he isn't playing us this week. Moving on, though, to what to wear for this game. Well, it's a Seattle home opener, so you really should go in some sort of Seattle fancy dress theme. Maybe dressed as Frasier or Jimi Hendrix or Kurt Cobain. Shotgun is entirely optional, depending on whether you can get it past security or not.
Oh, yikes.
Personally,
Wow!
Personally, I'd go with the 50 Shades of Grey inspired crotchless panty set with optional cable tie accessory. But I can't, as as Dustin still has the panties from the last time he borrowed
Oh
them.
my god!
But with that
Yikes.
They're at the dry cleaners.
with that being said, though, Moses, it looks like it's going to be perfect Seahawks weather. Moses, back over to you.
Oh my gosh! Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that
Well, that's
The biggest thing I take away from that is that Matt said he prepared for it. I don't prepare for my stuff.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Good for you.
unbelievable.
Only minutes, though.
Wow.
Only minutes.
All right, before we go to the fourth quarter, Will, give me one key to the game. The Seahawks win this game if what?
The offensive line actually shows up.
Excellent. Dustin, the Seahawks win this game if what?
If they can get the run game going.
All right. Matthew, the
Mhm.
Seahawks win if?
Well, I was going to say the Seahawks win this game, period.
Nice.
Wow.
Mic drop.
I'm going to say the Seahawks win this game if they win the battle of turnovers because I think an underdog, that's how you win this game. Turnovers and field position and a couple big plays here and there, and you're in this game. So if they can win the battle of turnovers and keep 49ers from even having any hope in that regard, I think they win. All right. Well, gentlemen, I guess we will go to the fourth quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Coming up next, we take all this info, other more helpful, useful info that we have, and we make our Seahawks 49er game predictions. You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. We help put the funk in your pregame funk. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Nobody cares.
Holy shit, it's the fourth quarter.
Oh, yes, it is the fourth and final quarter of this episode of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Oh, dear.
In this quarter, we make our game score predictions, our prognostications, and of course our game balls for the upcoming game. All right, first we're going to take a look at the numbers for this game. Seahawks are 14-point favorites at home against the 49ers, and the over-under for our purposes will be 42.5. Quick disclaimer, these numbers have been presented for entertainment purposes only. The 12-Man Fan Jam Show does not endorse betting on anything at any time. Please don't take anything we say or these numbers very seriously ever, and just don't take anything you hear on here ever very seriously. All right.
Because we don't.
Because we don't.
We
Our picks. Let's look at Team 12's picks. Jose said.
Jose, yeah.
Jozzy said score of 27-6. Prognostication: we get 3 or more turnovers. Game ball to Richardson. I'm going to take that as Sheldon Richardson. He also said if we win, I'll be happy, but I won't feel good about it because it's like you beating me in the 40-yard dash. So,
that's a solid line right there, man. That's a good one.
That's what he said.
Ooh.
And then go Hawks at the end. So, we'll leave that there, and I'll go to Tom's prediction. Seahawks 27-6. Russell Wilson tosses the ball all over the field, hopefully into some of our players' hands. Over 300 yards is his prediction for Russell Wilson, and the game ball to Russell.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, his balls are over the field, and now Matty can't stand himself. All right.
Best game ever.
Little Mo. And now I have to segue to my son. This is awesome. All right. Little Mo said 35-3 and said they'll be lucky to score 3. Sheldon Richardson 3 sacks, and he's given Thomas his game ball. Mark Ty Turner 24-7 Seahawks, game ball to Earl Thomas. Prediction: Niners only score as a defensive one. I'm thinking Lockett fumbles and they score on it, but we'll give him any kind of defensive score. Mike Pascal, our leader, by the way, right now. Seattle wins 27-13, game ball to Wilson. Prognostication: the Hawks will run more than 100 yards rushing as a team, and he said as a bonus, just for fun, Jimmy Graham will actually catch the football. All right. Thank you, Mike. Now for the Team Posse picks. Statsman Mark said 34-10 Seahawks. Prognostication: Wilson with 3 touchdown passes and the game ball to Wilson. Will!
Where?
Oh, buddy, you got to score for us.
I
Hey,
do.
wait a minute. Hey, welcome back to the show. Being gone. We missed you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We're glad you're back. So, what do you think about this game coming up against the 49ers? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it will be a fairly solid win that will leave us frequently frustrated. But
Yeah.
I'm predicting a final score of 23-3 because I don't think San Francisco will be able to mount much of an offense against us.
Yeah.
My prognostication is this time we will have a defensive lineman get an interception and run it in for a touchdown. Only I'm betting on Cliff Averill this time. And my game ball, I'll give it to Averill. Why not? I think we'll have a touchdown and a sack or two.
Good deal. Dustin.
Yeah.
You got a pick for me here in this game?
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win, sir.
All right. Moving on. Will. No, I already did Will. No.
Yeah.
I already did Will. I already took Will's information. Thank you very much.
That's
5
it.
seconds it took.
Yeah, and he didn't even know.
No.
So
that's what he said. Dustin.
Yeah. Hawks win, obviously. I'm going to say it's going to be 28-9 Seahawks. I think that the San Francisco 49ers will probably move the ball on us a little bit, but they won't see the end zone. Our zone kind of lets people move in between the 20s. Prognostication is that I think Shaq Griffin's going to get his first NFL interception. I think that's going to happen this game. And the game ball is going to go to... Yeah, I'm going to stick with Chris Carson, I think, till he gets it. So...
Hey, you never know. It might be around the corner.
Yeah.
Matt from merry old England. What you got for us?
Sir. I would go with the Seahawks win on this one. I'm going to go for Seahawks 30, San Francisco 9. I'm going to say that we're going to have a throwy game. I think it's going to be a good throwing game. I'm going to give my game ball to Doug Baldwin.
Okay.
And my prognostication will be that Baldwin will get a one-handed catch in the end zone for a breathtaking touchdown.
Baldwin, one-handed TD.
What if it's like an easy one-handed TD and I don't lose my breath? Does that count?
Still counts.
Yeah.
I've got asthma. I've got asthma.
Oh, okay. Checking.
Well, still counts. All right. Well, it's my turn, and there isn't much better things to see on your schedule after a disappointing road loss than a 49er home game. And while this 49er team is getting their act together, they are still quite a few weeks away from being seen as a serious threat to beating the Seahawks at home. Remember last week when everyone said the Seahawks haven't won in Green Bay since '99? Well, the 49ers haven't won in Seattle since 2011, which means Russell Wilson has never lost at home against the 49ers. And this year is not the time to start a new record. Watch our defense get a defensive score. It might be a safety, it might be a touchdown return, but it will be a score of some kind, which is my prognostication. Watch my game ball, Jimmy. Feed the beast, Graham. Rebound this week and turn into a dominating performance on offense. And watch the 49ers show us that they are who we think they are as the Seahawks feast on home cooking by winning by a score of Seattle Seahawks 28, San Francisco 13. Well. It has certainly been entertaining this evening, has it not, gentlemen?
Yeah.
That's one word for it.
Yeah. Huh? It looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12-man Fan Jam show to a sad close. We're glad you decided to waste some time with us before the game, and we certainly hope you laughed a little, and maybe you learned a little something. What did we learn? We learned a lot. But some of the things we learned is that Will has the touch, so you might want to watch out for that.
Is that like the clap?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Justin still hates math if you're checking in. And the Packer game was rubbishness, whatever that means. And I needed 5 seconds for a reason I don't even want to talk about. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, our new sound Shadowhawk Will, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Mosette, Little Mo, Steve Young, Brett Jones, Buddy Hackett, Statsman Mark, Sheila McRae, Art Carney. Good night, everybody. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Oh, my goodness.
When am I getting those panties back, Dustin?